I was about 7 or 8 years old and went with my family to this man-made lake, Family Park Place in South Georgia. Basically a big dugout pond that the owner put a bunch of beach sand and palm trees around and charged admission for people to come park their cars, grill, and swim for the day. Also had a big unsafe as hell water slide that kids got hurt on. So where my family would park was in front of this little island that was a clump of sand about 30 yards off the shoreline. I was not the best swimmer, but the depth was just above my head, so I could bob up and down and bounce out to this island. Bouncing out to that little island one day we were there, my foot came down onto what felt like a face. It felt like what was a nose on my toe. The thing I remember is feeling of hair flowing between my toes, that feeling of fine hair waving in water. I freaked out, and for the longest time just sat on the shore. I was a little kid and did not think anything about it. I could still remember the scared parents going around yelling this kid's name, asking if anyone had seen this little boy. They pulled his body from under the water right in front of that island. I'm 47 now, and can still remember the feeling of that hair between my toes. The case of Lacey Fletcher. Her parents, 66 years old, found their 36-year-old daughter dead on the couch. Lacey had severe agoraphobia and couldn't leave her couch for 12 years, so since she was 24. Her parents neglected her severely, didn't take care of her, and didn't get her help. When she was found, she had melted into the couch, and her skin had atrophied to the couch leather while she was alive. She was covered in excrement and insects were eating away at her body, also while she was alive. Lacey tried to save herself by eating her own excrement and the couch foam, but she was unable to get up from the couch for 12 years, and her parents refused to take care of her, which eventually led to her death. So Lacey Fletcher died from severe neglect from her own parents. The case of Septic Tank Sam. In 1977, an Alberta couple wanted a pump for their specific tank, and they decided to take the pump from the tank in their old abandoned farm instead of buying a new one. In doing so, they discovered a dead body that was thrown there. The victim's story is very horrific. He was tortured and mutilated before he was shot, then thrown in the septic tank of an abandoned farm, hoping that the crime would never be discovered. The victim was identified in 2021, but the murder is yet to be solved. When I was in my late 20s, I had started a new job, but had to wait a few weeks before I can get into my new apartment. My sister let me crash on her couch in her living room, which had backed up to the very front of her house. Late one night, my ex called me up in tears. We were still friends, but not booty calling each other. She had said she was convinced something bad was going to happen, and could I please come over? It was the weekend, so I drove over, calmed her down, and spent the night. Nothing happened. We had breakfast, and I went back to my sister's. When I got there, a note to contact the police was there. It turns out, after I left, some teens had driven down the street randomly shooting a pistol at houses. Note, this was a nice area. Stuff like this didn't happen here. They had shot the house 3 times. Sure enough, when we went inside, all 3 bullets had hit the couch where I would have been sleeping. Creepiest thing that's ever happened to me. It's fall 2002, and my girlfriend calls. We lived in Baton Rouge, and at the time, the city is in the throes of terror from the Baton Rouge serial killer. She just left Walmart, and a white pickup truck is following her. The FBI said the killer may be driving one, and she's freaked out. She's driven in circles, into and out of cul-de-sacs, but the truck keeps following her. My best friend and I hop into his car and race across town. A few minutes later, we catch up with her as we exit on Dalrymple, and she drives right past me, white truck still behind her. She's house sitting for a wealthy relative nearby, so I call her and tell her we're following the truck. A moment later, she pulls into the driveway, and the truck stops one house earlier, parked on the edge of the LSU lakes. We pull up behind her. She's hysterical. I assure her it's probably a prank as LSU's campus is right there. My roommate stands on the porch, and I approach the truck, and to my relief, the driver is an African American man. The FBI said the killer was white. The driver won't look right at me, but I explain he scared my girlfriend, and he most likely followed the wrong car leaving Walmart. He gives me a side-eyed glance and drives off. I never saw the man again in person, but the following year, I saw him on the cover of newspapers everywhere when he was arrested because DNA evidence said he was the serial murderer Luce in Baton Rouge. I had a run-in with Derek Todd Lee.